So the first part of the Nunatak tent series is the RUCK. I'm going to talk to you about the RUCK and what it is. Each Nunatak comes with 2 rucks so that you can load the different parts of your tent efficiently. It allows you to separate the different parts and load super cubs, rafts, ATVs, or whatever transportation method that you're using to get into the field. It also allows you to take only the tools that you need if you're going with a minimalist approach compared to the full tent setup approach. I'm going to show you what we decided to load in each ruck and why. So the first ruck I'm going to talk you through here comes with the tent fly, tent bag with the tent pole, the halo, and also the rubber gasket. Then a new addition this year is an updated spider. It's anodized and looks really slick, but it's also a lot more lightweight. It was designed by our aviation engineers, and we're using our aviation welders to design this new spider. Shaved a lot of weight, still extremely durable, and actually a lot less cumbersome. Shaved the straps down slightly to get something that could be more compact. And then going back to the tent pole and the halo frames, we've actually made this a lot more compact. We've heard from people they felt the ruck were still a little wide and hard to load. And so these packs are much smaller now, and as I mentioned, easier to load into things like super cubs, ATVs, horse packs, and different ways to get in the field. So I think people are going to be really happy with the size when they're loading them to get them into the field. Another item that comes with this is also the HD military stakes. You get 18 HD stakes. These are the heavy duty stakes. They work really well in all types of terrain, rock, dirt, sand, ice, snow. Sometimes in the winter, we do recommend taking ice screws as a backup or snow stakes. Different terrain always is something that you're going to be battling with a tension tent, but the HD military stakes are some really tough stakes that you can use, and they'll get you set up really nicely. So now I'm going to talk to you about the second ruck that we have. The second ruck, we basically just put our Vapex body in here. The Vapex body is a little bit larger, and it adds about 10 pounds to the whole setup. But if you leave the Vapex body behind in the summer when you don't feel like you need that extra added layer of warmth and insulation, you could leave this behind, save 10 pounds, and only take the minimalist approach ruck with you. So the reason why we made the rucks was to create a more efficient load. Traditional Arctic ovens come in a large stuff sack. These tents now allow you to kind of manipulate how you want to load your gear into your super cub, raft, horse pack, ATV. So it's a lot more efficient for traveling and packing. You'll still get the large stuff sack with this setup though too. So some new accessories that we're offering this year, I'm going to talk you through them. The first being a new bug net insert. This will actually clip into the halo, and then you can stake it out on the ground firmly. It gets flush with the ground. It protects you from any insects or any critters trying to get inside underneath the fly. It works with the minimalist approach. You don't use it with a Vapex approach as much. It also comes with the Silica shield. The Silica shield will actually clip into the halo and to protect the bug net when you're using your stove in the minimalist setup. So that shield will keep your bug net from melting. Another accessory we're offering this year is a ground cloth. We developed this ground cloth to basically work as a footprint inside your Arctic oven Nunatak. So if you're not using the Vapex body, you're not just laying in the dirt. You can have this nice lightweight ground cloth to work on the ground, to put your supplies on, keep up off the dirt and keep out of the mud and any moisture, things like that. Set your sleeping pads on it, set your cots on it. This just allows you to still have some sort of barrier and shield against the dirt and the bare ground. Okay, the first thing that you want to do with your Nunatak tent setup is set up a footprint. The footprint is an accessory. It's something that you need to buy separately from the Arctic oven tent, but we highly recommend it. It just helps protect the floor of your tent much better. So. At this point, you can take the footprint and you can just leave it as is. We'll stake it out once we start staking out the rest of the tent. You can come over to your first ruck and you're gonna grab the Vapex body. The Vapex body, you wanna think about how you're orienting the door and how you're setting up for anything like wind. So with this tent, it is a tension tent, so you wanna evenly stake it out. So you wanna really think about that. You don't always get it perfect on the first try. Sometimes you'll stake it out and then you can kind of move things around and adjust it to adjust the tension. You might even have to do that through a couple days of camping because the ground could settle, snow settles, and also things the weather can throw at you. So again, orient the door where you want it to be oriented. Now I go to the second ruck. I start getting my stakes prepared. Start thinking about how I'm gonna stake this out to start with. I typically start out staking out the four corners, and it's important to bring a little camp axe or hatchet or hammer if you can to help you drive stakes, pull them out at the end of the trip too. Drive your stakes in at an angle. It'll make it easier to pull them out at the end of the trip. If you're going straight in, it can be a little bit harder to get a little bit of a grip on it to pull it out, especially when the ground refreezes at night. Now you can start staging out the other pieces of the tent and getting it ready. So grab your spider, grab your lift kit. This is the ring that will actually go on the tent pole that will help you gain a little bit more clearance at the top with the fabric, the roof of the Vapex. You can grab your halo, and then also the tent pole. As mentioned, the tent pole is a new design, lightweight. We shaved almost 2 pounds off of this tent pole. You're gonna have 4 identical pieces that look exactly the same, but then you'll have a little foot that will allow you to adjust the height of the pole to create tension when needed. There's 4 different settings so you can increase tension. This smaller footing will have a rubber footing on it when it comes to you. So the rubber foot will be where you place on the landing pad inside the tent, and I'll show you what the landing pad looks like. So you can take this smaller foot, install it, and usually you don't need a lot of clearance to start with, so I'm gonna take it all the way to the last setting, and then I can readjust it once I have the tent set up. So the pole, the neck is swedged, so you can easily slip these on. The button snaps clip really well. Get a really lightweight and durable pole. Now we'll take the halo and we'll put it together. It breaks down really nicely. We've broken it down into a total of 8 little breakdown points in 2 total pieces. It used to be 1 full piece, but we've been able to break down the size by about half now. So it packs way smaller than it used to. Just so we don't forget, we're gonna take the lift kit, which is really the rubber gasket, and we're gonna place that over the top of our pole. And again, what this will do is it'll lift up any loose fabric at the top of the Arctic oven roof. I'll show you that inside once we have it set up. Okay, at this point you can grab your spider. Obviously the spider is called a spider because it looks like a spider with its legs. You take your spider and you want to connect that into the 4 corners of the halo. And it's really important to get it in each corner of the halo to make sure that you're creating the right tension inside your tent. If you don't put it in the corner and you put it right in the middle, you will not have the type of fitting and tension on the tent that you want. It'll look a little bit wonky and saggy at the top. This will give it really good structure. Okay, once you have your halo and spider installed, you take that and you place it over the very middle of the tent. And there's gonna be clips here. You wanna take your spider and put it through the opening. There's a little hole. That's the opening for the pole to go into. And then you start clipping the halo into the Vapex body. Now you want to do this first so that you can get to it before you put the fly on. Once you put the fly on, it's harder to get to this area of the tent. You'll also see your stove jack right here. This is where the stove piping is actually will go through if you're installing a stove into your, if you're integrating a stove into your Arctic oven tent. There's different sizes already stitched out for the different types of stovepipe that you're gonna be putting through, because different people use different stoves. We highly recommend the New Way double burner stove. Otherwise, the Trekker is a really popular one as well. Today, we're gonna be using an Arctic oven stove in here to show you just the different stove setups you can use. At this point, we're gonna start getting ready to put the fly on. What we recommend is just taking your stakes and start kind of staging them around the tent. You're gonna be using them all around, and the tension is important to keep the whole time, so you kind of wanna work your way around. You don't wanna just go all around in a circle. You can kind of go from one side to the other, but tension is important, and it wants to pull on itself, so we'll show you how to do that. So once you get the fly out, you want to orient the front door with the body door. So how you can do that is locate the Arctic Oven logo, and then that will line you up with the front door on the Vapex body right here. Then you want to find all the clips from the fly and the body and connect them. So kind of peel it back, and you'll find the different connection points on the tent. They'll be on the sides and the corners of the body, and that just keeps it all connected better. A really important detail you'll want to consider when you're going to use your stove for the first time is taking off the stove jack cover flap. So take that off and you can set that aside, because what you'll end up doing in order to use the stove is you'll need to cut a hole through the stove jack that is on the fly and also the body, and make sure you match up the stove pipe to fit the cut that you need. There's different sizes already sewn into this, so make sure you're cutting it out to the size of your stove jack. The reason why you want to cut it around the size of the stove jack where it's sewn is so that it doesn't run if it tears. Once you have the tent fly over the Vapex body, you're going to want to stake in each corner of the fly. I start at the front corner and I work myself around the tent and make sure you get each corner in, and then work through the other areas that you need to stake down. So now that you have your Nunatak fly staked out, you can go inside with the center pole. You're going to want to take your center pole and connect it to the spider on the end of the center pole. You're going to lift up and raise your tent. At times, you might have to readjust the stakes to adjust the tension for either more tension or less tension, and you can adjust that as you need. Now that you have your tent set up, you might need to make some adjustments on the tension. Check out the halo, see if you need to adjust it to halo, and then I always start staking out the front door at that point.